I want you to picture a scene. There's a celebration. Your family and friends are present. They've gathered to celebrate your life. There is music and good food. There are people sharing heartfelt tributes, talking about what you mean to them. Some wish they told you this earlier. There are tears, there's laughter, and everything else in between. In case you haven't guessed it yet, I am describing a funeral. I know it's only Monday, but stay with me. Imagine all of this, a regular funeral with one crucial difference. You are present at your own funeral. Not as a ghost or a ghoul, mind you. You're attending the wake while actually being awake. This is an example of a living funeral, also known as a pre-funeral. It may sound morbid and bizarre, the idea is slightly bonkers, but on second thoughts, maybe it isn't such a bad thing. Holding a living funeral is a radical choice, and in some cases, it proves to be a great one. I'll tell you why. It offers people a chance to say goodbye to their families, close or long-lost friends, even foster cats or nemesis. Anything goes, because creative control lies with the person bidding goodbye. And they get to do so in their own terms, on their own terms. And with this, they don't just celebrate death, but also their life, all while they're still alive. Plus, people at the receiving end of the outpouring of love get to truly enjoy it. After all, who doesn't love attention? Now, Ross Geller from Friends may have done it first. He desperately needed attention to feel alive, so he faked his death, held a funeral. It was good comic relief. But according to experts and those who have held their own funerals, in most cases, living funerals can be uplifting, especially for people with terminal illness, like cancer or dementia, or simply those growing old. And while the concept may sound radical, it's not entirely new. Living funerals are fairly common in Japan, apparently. They're known as Shizenso, meaning funeral while living. They started gaining popularity in the late 1900s, but here they didn't just take off simply as a big party. They were held to take the pressure off family members. After all, coping with grief after the loss of a loved one is heavy enough without the stress and financial burden of organizing a funeral. And this practice is prevalent in South Korea too. It gained popularity in the 2010s, but here the reason behind living funerals is slightly different. In South Korea, both young and old put on burial shrouds. Then they lie down in the coffins and someone hammers the lid closed. Participants are left encased. They lie in utter darkness for minutes, which can feel like an eternity. Some participants want to prepare for the end. Others want to dispel suicidal impulses. But most of all, people want to face their mortality.
I can die regardless of my age. I think this is a good chance to prepare for my end in a calm way.
They could feel that it was meaningless, that they had been holding things so tight. Now they can relax and find a way for a meaningful life.
In fact, in South Korea, living funerals are the new normal, apparently. Some businesses treat them as motivational programs. They sponsor employee participation. But most people do it on their own. In 2019, 25,000 people took part in a mass living funeral, 25,000 people. These images can be jarring, understandably so. Death is a scary concept and a paradoxical one. It is a certainty of everyone's life. It is on everyone's mind at some point, yet it is taboo. Living funerals counter this approach. They help people make peace with the inevitable. They make sure nothing is left unsaid. They reaffirm what is important. Plus, if you're dying to hear the nice things that people have to say about you, and if you're ready to go to such extremes, maybe a living funeral will help. Honestly, I've thought about this story the whole day. I'm not sure. I've made up my mind on whether it's a good idea. We'd like to know what you think about this. Write to us.